This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Trust the teachers. That's what Frederick Douglass biographer David Blight writes in a piece in The Atlantic. Pulitzer Prize winning David Blight. And his Prophet of Freedom biography on Frederick Douglass is actually very good, but he's very wrong on this. Trust the teachers? No. Sorry. Or at least take the Reagan position of trust but verify. Abigail Schreier writing at her Substack. Last month, the California Teachers Association held a conference advising teachers on best practices for subverting parents, conservative communities, and school principals on the issue of gender identity and sexual orientation. Speakers went so far as to tout their surveillance of students' Google searches, internet activity, and hallway conversations in order to target sixth graders for personal invitations to the LGBTQ clubs, while actively concealing these clubs' membership rolls from participants' parents. This was a conference in Palm Springs held October 29th to the 31st. The conference entitled the 2021 LGBTQ Plus Issues Conference Beyond the Binary, Identity and Imagining Possibilities. And 3 participants sent Schreier audio files of the conference. So she's citing what they are saying, and she's got the audio backup to prove it. For example, one club leader, teacher, middle school, Buena Vista Middle School in California, because we are not official, we have no club rosters, we keep no records. In fact, sometimes we don't really want to keep records because if parents get upset that their kids are coming, we're like, yeah, I don't know, maybe they came. You know, we would never want a kid to get in trouble for attending if their parents are upset. The advice to middle school teachers who run LGBTQ clubs is keep no records so you can plead ignorance of the membership with the members' parents. In fact, middle school teacher Kelly Baraki can be heard in the same session describing having named her club the Equity Club and then UBU rather than the more ubiquitous GSA clubs, Gay Straight Alliance. There was also a workshop titled How We Run GSAs in Conservative Communities. In that address, speakers described the challenges for activist teachers working in the context of a politically mixed community in Central California with many conservative parents. Got to work around them. For those paying attention, writes Schreier, the educators who guide California teachers in the creation of middle school LGBTQ clubs asserted the following. They struggle to maintain student participation in the clubs. Many parents oppose the clubs. Teachers surveil students electronically, they're like Google searches, as I mentioned, to ferret out students who might be interested, after which the identified student is recruited to the club via a personal invitation. Trust the teachers. Recruiting students, surveilling students to advance the teacher's agenda. For more on this topic, pleased to be joined by Terrance Newsome. He's a Downers Grove High School father. He has 2 kids at the Downers Grove High Schools. I don't know which one.
Twins, freshmen, Downers Grove South.
Downers Grove South. He spoke out at the meeting last week that we documented here with respect to the gender queer book in the library at Downers South. And we've talked about that book before. We've had parents from around the country read excerpts from that book. In some places, it's part of the curriculum. In some places, it's just in the library. But as we're to understand, if we're not going to be purposely naive, it's in the library for the purpose of ultimately making its way into the curriculum, because you have movements afoot, like the one sponsored by the California Teachers Union, to recruit and indoctrinate, as is described, using audio from their workshop. Abigail Schreier documenting it. Terrance Newsome, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, Dan and Amy. Thank you for having me on.
So what happened at that meeting of the Downers High School board, and why were you there?
Yes, I have freshman twins. This is all brand new for me, the school board stuff. Became aware right before my kids started their freshman year. I started seeing all the stuff that's happening at our board meeting from other parents, across the board, from the mass, CRT, sex ed. They throw the parents out of the board meetings. They interrupt them, disrespectful. And then I found out about how, we can't even really, talk about the images that are in the book and how bad they were. And I was kind of shocked. And I was very clear to the board, to Hank Thiel, the superintendent who defends this book, that this is, all about anti-porn. It's not about sexuality or homophobic. I want all like porn out of the school. As a matter of fact, I have a meeting today at 3:00 with the school specifically about this. Had to fill out the paperwork. I asked the principal, can you please bring any of the like type heterosexual pornographic books, because you're calling us homophobic. The kids who spoke said there's very similar, if not worse, books. And please bring them, because I'd like to have those removed as well. He responds back to me, this is only about genderqueer. So I responded back, then I'm assuming that if there is no books that are heterosexual pornographic, then there aren't any. And we'll see how that meeting goes at 3:00 today.
So you were, you and others who attended and spoke out against this book and porn in the classroom or in the school were characterized as Proud Boys, right-wing extremists. There was the General Assembly, Illinois General Assembly, passed a resolution condemning
Oh my God.
people like you for just being white supremacists, Proud Boys, white nationalists, trying to advance your extremist agenda. Are you a Proud Boy?
No, I'm not a Proud Boy. It's kind of ironic. We had the news break before we jumped on. They mentioned Mary Lemansky, who just stepped down. Well, Mary Lemansky is one of the 4 big mouth communist liberals that attack all the parents there and saying there's hate has no place here. So, she mentioned Karma. Well, it's kind of funny that Karma came around and got her this week and exposed her for what she really is. And these same individuals constantly meet with some of the board members and the superintendent as well. And so what happened before the board meeting? There was Antifa. You probably saw that big Sun-Times article, right? And they really focused on the Proud Boys. Prior to the board meeting, there's a group called Wake Up 99 that was promoting it for other parents that are part of a group that are trying to fight some of this stuff as well. Antifa posted their flyer, and then there was another flyer they put side by side, and it was from the Proud Boys, because I guess there's a website address in the bottom right, and it said school board. This is what the one they said was Proud Boys. It said school board showdown. All parents need to stand up against this pedophiles indoctrination that's happening in our schools. It had the address, and it said wake up, and then it showed the graphic pictures. So that flyer, regardless of who made it, turned it into white supremacist racists that were supposed to show up. Antifa was the only ones promoting it. If there was Proud Boys in the audience trying to intimidate anybody, they did a really poor job of it because we couldn't tell who was who. And then the only images that came out was from Antifa after the board meeting. Mine and other fathers' images were posted, attacking us on the Antifa site. And then the only so-called violence or whatever, not even violence, but the other father received a threatening phone call, filed with the police department. He called me. I haven't, fortunately haven't received any yet. So it's kind of ironic that these folks from the left are trying to say that, this is, racist, white supremacist, and I think they're really just trying to divert from, this is pornography, no matter what they try to say, and they all have the same talking points. So the principal, both principals, the superintendent, I even reached out to the mayor of Downers Grove, who never called me back, and the mayor of Darien. And the mayor of Darien called me back after he spoke to the principal, and he had the exact same talking points.
Oh yeah.
That this falls under inclusion. It falls. It's a comic sketchbook, is how they all said it, right? And we got this in emails, right? It's not really required reading, and it's only available in the library.
But so still, the fact that it's there, and you've got, Tom Sawyer and Dr. Seuss are being canceled, but that the smut is there for them to check out anytime they want.
Yeah, and they say, your kids have access to cell phones and laptops. These are all the talking points, right? And they could see worse. She says, well, yes, that's true. And yes, it's my job as a parent to do my best to try to monitor that. But if you want to put pornography in my kids' school where you got 13, 14-year-old kids in there, and who are you to decide what's pornography or not, and who are you to decide to sneak it in, and we got to find it out ourselves. Then we got to defend ourselves as not being homophobic only because of pornography, period. We don't want any pornography in there.
And just to, again here, you have no affiliation with the Proud Boys. Are you
No.
Are you political in any way? Do you have an activist background?
Yeah. So just so you know, I was raised in the southwest side of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
2 unions for almost 30 years. My father worked for the city of Chicago union. My uncle was the president of People's Gas Union. All Democrats. I did nothing but a Democrat. I mean, I was, you didn't even think about being a Republican. And then as I got older, I kind of gravitated in the last 10 years. Now my mother and father, who are in their 80s, are Republicans now. These are not Democrats. They're communist socialists. I mean, all these things that they're trying to do, to our country, to our children, like the mask mandate.
Right.
This guy Hank Thiel is like we had an 80-some-year-old man speaking, I don't know, a couple board meetings ago. He was a Republican, obviously, and he was trying to read, and the mask came down just a little bit below his nose. They all attacked him. Put your mask on. And then we got photos of them having board, Illinois BOE meetings, all with their masks off, laughing and stuff. And then another thing, they keep telling the parents that we have not taught CRT. We are not teaching CRT. No, but you are in the curriculum, and some of the things that are in the school, some of the things that are being said to our children is CRT. They're just trying to pivot around it, like the technical terms of teaching it within the college, college education.
Well, what are some things that they're saying to the kids?
Well, one of the things I could say personally from my child, right before he graduated 8th grade in the feeder school, he came back like 3 weeks before his graduation. He's like, Dad, I was, working on my laptop. Dad, he goes, my teacher today, she told me there's no such thing as the American dream. I'm like, what? I go, you sure? He goes, yeah, we were talking. She said, there's no such thing as the American dream. It's not attainable for everyone. It's overinflated and it's not as big as it is, especially since not everybody can get it. And I called the principal and I said, my twins are graduating in 3 weeks, but this is unacceptable. I said, I hope I heard my son wrong. And I told him what I heard. And I said, the kids at that age, no matter what their sex, race, or whatever, they should think they could go to the moon, to Mars if they wanted. None of this should be taught, And then he called me back and said, well, yes, Mr. Newsome, you're correct, but it was more of a dialogue with the students. She wasn't teaching, which is, BS. You shouldn't be trying to subtly influence them, Matt.
And this other group, Wake Up 99, that's a separate and distinct group and this was conflated by the press corps in terms of the flyer from one group, and then Wake Up District 99 is a different parents group, and that was all, of course, thrown together because the effort by the media is to paint everybody as some rabble-rousing Trump voters. Yeah,
it's kind of ironic too. Is I talked to the reporter. And I said, hey, come on. Why aren't you putting all these images in there of Antifa and the threatening, and he called the one father, and he goes, well, we called, but we can't really prove it's Antifa. Well, they're making all these other assumptions to try to come out with a strong opinion on the parents fighting and all this stuff, right? It was very clear. It's a very biased report. And then in the same article, they got a Hispanic guy supporting a white supremacist company. I'm like, organization, and I'm like, wow, maybe you didn't get the message.
So there's perhaps some confusion. I mean, I'll some of these parents like you who are just sort of getting into this, and you just see flyers protesting the same thing that you want to go and complain about, and then somebody has one perspective and another group has a different perspective. They're coming at it from a different angle, and it just gets thrown together. I mean, this is what the press does: is they take somebody who maybe not coming from a good place, but is pointing to the same thing that good people coming from a good place are pointing to, and say, well, everybody is that guy, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, Dan, they had riot shields there. I took pictures of the police. There's tons of police
riot shields at a Downers school board meeting.
And this is from some of the other mothers. I didn't see it. There's a group of mothers that's been doing this for a while. My kids are freshmen, and they have never won anything. These people are so arrogant to them, the board. But they insist there was 2 FBI agents there, based on how they looked. They sat and they stood out. They, addressed the Hank Fields. They walked out. I don't know if that's true or not, but in some of this article, Kasten and they're saying that the federal authorities are aware. I don't know if you saw what Kasten put out in that article.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I don't need to read it, Kasten. I can predict what he's going to say. But yeah, I mean,
in my view, again, I was raised a Democrat. They're not, what they are. We're in a war for the future for our children. I mean, and we're losing the war. And more parents have to get involved, and more fathers got to get involved to help the moms at the school boards, because it's like, to me, like another guy or two. It's always mothers, and we got to fight for our kids, because they own the media, they own the school boards, they own everything. And unless parents don't understand how serious this is and how they're going to continue to try to indoctrinate our children to support them, it's like Hitler Youth, and it's very serious. And the media has a level of credibility. It's not like we're in China or Korea, right? But they are probably as bad and more effective as being in China, Korea, because they're supposed to be independent, and they're not.
He is Terrance Newsome. He's a father of twins at Downers South High School. He spoke at that meeting last week, and you heard him characterize how it was covered by the media versus why he was there, and other fathers and moms were there, and what they're attempting to do, and the kind of response they're getting from the school district. That's Downers Grove, leafy, upper income, Republican once upon a time, about 4 years ago, Downers Grove, and now look what it's become. Terrance Newsome, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck, and good luck with your meeting today. That should be really something. Yeah, I'm going to bring my big posters, show them those images so they can look at them right in front of them as I sit there. If they, if they try to perform a frontal lobotomy, give us a call. We'll send people. Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Newsome joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I loved the product. Not only did I lose